Hi, this is Ed16 for the Your Game channel, and this is my video commentaries for Men of War gameplay number 2. Once again, this is a game 4 against 4, and this is the mode Battle Zone. In this mode, the team that holds as many flags as possible for the longest time wins. My team was composed of Greatdictator, Deryni, and Kyledk. Since Greatdictator wasn't the most experienced player ever, I chose to support him, and as he spawned a tank first, my paratrooper had the role to scout for him. Now, Greatdictator being unexperienced, he did a big mistake. He sent the tank first without any scouting, so he had no idea what he had in front of him. And this behavior is really something you should never do in Men of War, because Men of War as it is now is all about scouting the enemies, spotting their tanks, and using your tanks, which should be more powerful, to destroy them. So while the popular perception is that a tank is leading the charge, well, in Men of War it's a bad idea because a tank can get destroyed by a lot of stuff. And this is exactly what happened here. Greatdictator was too careless and he got his tank blew up by a bazooka. Fortunately, just killed enough enemies to help my paratrooper to kill the rest and capture the position. Also, the enemies were not too good, and at least one of them had like one game played. So it really wasn't that challenging overall. And micromanaging the troop I had, I managed to inflict a lot of casualty without spending much. Now for the most part of this round, I did not spawn anything important other than my few paratrooper and a few crew members to fix the Greatdictator tank. The reason being that I did not see any point to spawn a new unit, and my partners were able to hold all flank. There was only Deryni, which had actually two players in the center charging him, but he was able to hold them, allowing me to keep my points and wait for a better tank to spawn. At the same time, one of my plans was to actually fix Greatdictator tank, but I wasn't expecting it would take so long. And by the time I managed to fix it, it was outclassed by enemy tank and nearly served me only as a distraction. So I will say for the first 7 minutes, I just support a little both the center and right flank. And that's really what paratrooper are good for, because they are mobile. And two of them have Panzer Faust. They just have one, but that's all you need to kill one thing, and that's a lot of resource wasted for your enemies. One of the important aspects of this round is that the enemies actually kept attacking non-stop, meaning they were wasting resources as they get them. That prevented them to spawn bigger tank, and by spawning a Panther at around 7 minutes, I was certain that I will be able to totally destroy anything they were sending, because they will never have the resource necessary to spawn a tank that can face a Panther tank. Even with Deryni under heavy pressure from non-stop infantry attack and tank attack, it was worth the risk of waiting for a Panther, because with a Panther you can pretty much destroy every infantry attacking you. And at the same time, there is no way those enemies will ever have a tank that can face a Panther. Also, a Panther has a long range, so if I deployed my Panther in the center, I'm pretty sure I can destroy any tank from any flank. And since it will be in the center, there is just no way the enemy tank can take it on from the front, while the flank are well covered by my team. And those are perfect conditions for an heavy tank, because when in this game you start spawning heavy tank, it's all about being able to flank them, and in this case there was no way they will be able to flank my Panther. My team had a good control over the flanks, and if the enemy will try to flank my Panther, they will have to face my team, and my team will keep them busy, and while they keep them busy, they will have no choice to expose their flank to my Panther. So this game is really all about mutual support. And that's why a good team has the guy in the center covering both flank, because you can destroy the enemy by shooting their flank much easier than shooting their front armor. And the guy in the flank are actually aiming at the enemy tank in the center. This way the guy in the center is protected. So that's really why in this game it's very important to have a good team. And if you don't have a good team, what will generally happen, as it did happen in this game later on, one of them will leave because he's unable to achieve result, and he will leave his team alone without having the sufficient point to face the enemy in front of them, and that kinda ruined the game a little. That's why not only it's important to have a good team in terms of skill, but also a good team in terms of behavior, and I will call that etiquette, because it's just sad when somebody quit your team while you may be losing, but you may not lose as bad as you could if the guys stay there and keep fighting. Generally, it's also much more rewarding when everybody does its part, even if you fail. It's better to play as a team and die as a team than play alone, have some success, and die anyway. The other interesting aspect of playing in team is that three guy can actually hold the front, while the fourth guy support where it's needed. And this is exactly what I'm doing in this game, because all I do is to support Greatdictator and Deryni until I finally get my Panther. The fourth guy has an interesting role because he can be a kind of flexible attack weapon by deploying where it's needed. By not holding any front, he's actually able to focus his energy at piercing the enemy lines and pushing to the next objective. I think that this fourth guy should not divide his energy by spreading his troop around the front, because by dividing his force, he's weakening all the front and he cannot put his attention to all the front. Also, when you overlap multiple players on the same front line, it tends to give the players a false impression of the front and make it maybe too strong, and it immobilize their troop into a place where, yes, it holds the front, but it may create weakness elsewhere. It may also make the player believe that he can rely on his ally and make him expect that his ally has actually anti-tank weapon or something like that. Instead of investing himself into it, he expects his ally to do it, and his ally may believe the same. So you actually focus more troop, but you may not have the equipment necessary to face your enemies. So it's clear to me that the best strategy is to actually have everybody focus on his side and do not mix troops. And if everybody is able to hold this flank, you can have a fourth guy which will accumulate his point and call better tank, which will give the team an edge over the enemies. And this round is a good example of that. Since I'm running out of time, I will let you enjoy my Panther who is hunting hordes of Russian tank. Goodbye, and keep your eyes open for future videos.